Welcome to Splitfire. I'm going to give you a little tour, show you what we're all about. And people are oftentimes curious to see how we build machines. So this is our office. We have sales, parts and service, accounting, engineering, kind of all in this office. We got a couple guys on that side. So one of the key things with Splitfire, if you call, we're probably going to pick up the phone right away and we'll try to get you answers as soon as possible. So come out in the shop. I'll show you what kind of things we do to make a Splitfire log splitter. So one of the first steps to making a Splitfire log splitter is getting raw material. You know, when it comes to a 3-point hitch machine or anything like that, we basically make over 90% of the machine here in-house. And normally it starts off with raw stock. So here you can see we have some square tube, rod, but it could be anything from, you know, structural tubing to flat bar to flat plate for a laser cutter, or, you know, it can be stuff like this here where it's honed tubing or chrome rod. These are for long stroke machines, so this will be heading out to a lathe or a mill to get machined for a process further down the road. So it all starts with raw material of some shape or size, and we'll cut it down and machine it or weld it to whatever spec it's got to be. So in this station here, this is one of the gentlemen. We have a welder here that does a lot of manual welding, but he also tends to a welding robot. Now he's welding all the small parts together. So if you come on over here, you can see stuff like stops. Yeah, so he will be welding some of this stuff. Some of the stuff he pre-tacks and sends to the robot, but he's basically keeping parts bins full at all times. And so we got some 3000 series stops here that are off the laser cutter, and so he's going to use a jig or whatever he needs to do to make sure these parts come out as quality parts. And so this robot here is actually new. We just picked it up or got delivered 2 weeks ago. We probably ordered it 7 months ago. And the nice thing with this welding robot is that it has a laser head on it. So this laser head will bolt down on the gun here. So it'll actively seam track. So if we're doing reservoirs or longer welds on thinner material, it'll actively track it to make sure that we're always getting those really good quality welds. And we're just waiting for some more fixtures for it. But we have a nice tilt rotate positioner. That's going to make our job a lot easier too. So we're always trying to keep up with technology. You know, if you fall behind and you have rows of manual welders, you probably can't make machines for a decent price. So you have to stay on top of technology, because if you don't, you're going to fall behind, and the business is not going to keep up with the times, they say. So that's what this station here is all about. And then we have another station here, and this gentleman here is in one of the stations that welds all the machines together. So he has a build list, and he is basically going ahead and building all the machines to whatever we've sold. I mean, for the past, it's been quite a while now, we've been building to order. Our order book has been full, and we've got quite a lead time. So we've picked up production to try to meet demand, but in these days it's hard to get our hands on material. So he's basically, you know, whether it be a skid steer machine or a self-contained machine or a 3-point hitch, he's basically putting together what that customer wants. If it's got some custom touches, it gets done in the station here, and he does a really good job. So you can see he's got frames on this side over here. We got a lot of custom frames out in the warehouse, and we got reservoirs stacked up, that kind of stuff, where he can just pick and what he needs, and he just gets machines done. And then over here, you can see we got a couple machines that, as we move into the paint station, are getting prepped for paint. So we have some machines that are heading to New Zealand. We're just working on a New Zealand order. And so we pre-assemble these, which means that we put valves on, we put lines, the cylinder goes inside. We have that slider that gets fitted. It's got UHMW on all 4 sides. So that's one nice thing with Splitfires. We got a nice long bearing surface. So these machines will last a long, long time. So from here, they go into the booth, and just by the doors, you can tell we spray a lot of red. And so this booth here, every Christmas we go through and clean this booth. Right now it's, you know, we're only a couple weeks away from Christmas, so this will get fully reconditioned for the new year sort of thing. So this year we're putting new lights in it, and it'll all be perfectly white by the time the new year rolls around again. So we got a full-time painter, and he's priming, painting, and we also do send a lot of stuff to powder coat too, but we don't powder coat in this facility. We just do paint, but all the wood chippers, our log buckets, our carry-alls, that gets sent to powder coat. We can see here we got some shelves for New Zealand, so the overseas machines for us are typically different. We cater the design to what they're looking for, and we also have to make it in a way so we can break it down so we can fit it into a 40-foot sea can the most efficient way possible. A little trickier than it's made out to be sometimes. So here we have parts that are freshly painted. We all have tags on them so we know what part goes for each machine, and we keep things nice and organized. So that's what the paint station does, is they're taking all the parts, coating it, cleaning it, coating it, and making sure it looks good. And then back in here, you can see we have a large rack with all of our slide pads. So on that slider that goes to the machine is taking 4 of these UHMW slide pads. So these are replaceable, and each machine has thick and thins to make sure it's a good tight fit. But that's where these here go. Got some long stroke ones up there, lots of reservoirs, all different parts. Yeah. And then here we have a saw. This is the saw that goes ahead and cuts all of our raw materials. So, you know, we used to go through tons of flat bar. These days, a lot of what we do gets put through on a laser cutter. So we don't use this near as much. But for all our structural tubing, this works pretty good. It is full CNC, so you set it up, and it's going to cut for hours on end. We'll even run it lights out if we have to, just so we can keep up in certain cases. So it has been a decent saw for us. Not a great saw, a decent saw. We've had it for quite a few years, so it'll be one of the machines we upgrade in the next year or two. And then over here we got some log lifter parts heading to New Zealand. They have a different type of log lifter. Shelves again. This station here also welds parts, so you can see most of our welders are on a boom of some sort, and makes it easy to weld larger pieces and whatnot. But he's welding reservoirs, crossbars, all kinds of different parts. And then we have some chipper parts up there. And this here, I should maybe have the cover off. Maybe in a future episode or tour we can look at this. But this is actually an old regular lathe that we've made into a custom machine to weld our barrels together on our cylinders. So we use the tailstock to crush the barrel and dead end together, and we'll lay a nice bead in there. That way it's a perfect fit to make sure that cylinder is perfect. So another station here, you know, this person's welding a lot of wood chipper stuff, so pretty much a full-time wood chipper person that's welding, fitting stuff. And a lot of the wood chipper parts do go to the robot welder because they're a lot of round welds that the robot excels at, those difficult, hard welds. So yeah, that's what this station here does. So we'll go to the warehouse. It's a little chilly out there today, but we'll have a look in the warehouse for a second. All right, so we just have a warehouse that we store all of our overstock or custom stuff. So you can see we have a lot of log lifters, that kind of stuff, a lot of wood chipper parts, and it's a bit of a mess in here. Well, this will get cleaned out in the next week or two. That way when the snow flies, it's all organized. You can see up here, we have a lot of custom frames for all of our custom stroke lengths. So we have stuff for 48 inches, 30s, 36s, and into the spring we'll basically order, you know, a lot of structural tubing to refill this whole section. So we got some stuff for Freddy's. A lot of different stuff is in here, and we try to keep it organized. We got some custom machines back there, an extra welder. Yeah, just a place where we keep all of the stuff we don't need on a daily basis. So lots of different types of steel and sizes and things in here that we need, you know, maybe a couple times a week, but it's not a high frequency item. And then we have a C can right there too, but it's just more or less full of jigs for the new robot, because we wanted to keep that very organized. So yeah, and you can see out here we have sliders, so all of our different slider options. This will get moved in for the winter, just because we don't want it to be digging through snow and that kind of stuff to get it. And then this is what we call the laser side of the shop, I guess. So here we have a welding station, And this guy does sliders. He's welding parts again for the machine, so he's got a set of 4000 series sliders in the go. And he does a lot of parts for us as well. And then here is another station again, and this person welds mostly 2265 stuff for our 2000 series. They've been quite popular for us. And again, we got a welder on a boom, makes it easy. And yeah, you can see the shop is pretty clean. This is very typical for a Friday. Every Friday, the guys are gone at lunch, so we sweep and clean this whole shop to make sure it's spick and span. People, you know, think I probably have ADD, and I'm okay with that because I prefer a very clean shop. So forklift, pretty standard stuff for the forklift. When it comes to the press, we have just a really standard brake. It's a 90 ton or 100 ton brake, and we do a lot of our, well, we do all of our own press work. We have a small vibratory finisher, so if it's for like throttles on wood chippers and stuff like that, we'll dump it in here, and we'll have ceramic media in here to vibrate away on stuff. And yeah, you can turn a very rough piece of steel into a very rounded, smooth piece quite easy. So it does a good job. And then here we have a Mazak laser. I bought this, what, 5 years ago now, and it's a 5x10. It works really good for what we do. I would have loved to buy a fiber laser, but I purchased a laser for a very specific process. You can kind of see up here we have a big fixture, and that fixture is fully set up with a lot of electromagnets. And what we do is we'll take all the slats out of this laser cutter. We will put that whole fixture in place, and we can actually go ahead and put 4 square tube frames in there, and we can laser cut all the slots and the holes in it very quickly and efficiently. So 3 or 4 times a year, we'll take the whole machine apart, put the big fixture in there, laser cut a couple hundred tubes of different shapes and sizes, take the fixture back out, put the slats back in, and use it as a conventional laser again. So that was one of the big decisions for buying this type of machine. And then back here, we have a little tool room lathe. So, you know, we don't use it much, but a little lathe like this is super, super handy in a shop. You know, when we're prototyping stuff, or, you know, it's just a handy little machine. So I love this little lathe. And I know it's probably 30 years old, but it's an amazing little machine. We got a dust collector for a laser, keeps the air nice and clean. I've seen some shops that don't have a dust collector for the laser, and it just turns it into a mess. So really happy with that. And this here's a press. My dad would have built this, I don't know how many years ago, and it's 100 tons in 3 directions. So it works very well. I'm not sure if it's powered on. So this goes up and down, and then these will open. And we mostly use this for doing clevises. So we can put a chunk of flat bar in there, and we can bend it in a perfect U shape very easily. We used to do a lot of work for customers, hydraulic people, making clevises and custom cylinder parts. But since then, I've gotten out of that game because it's not profitable, and you know, we got to focus on building our machines, not other people's product. Same with laser cutting and stuff. I don't like to get into it too much because there's just so many people that do it, and I want to focus on building the Splitfire brand, not doing other people's work. So here we have the beginning of our assembly. So normally you would see all kinds of Honda engines up here all built, but we're building a smaller or a medium-sized New Zealand order, so we're a little ways into that. So you can see all these machines here are going to get all fitted with all this this wrapped hoses and crossbars and stuff. So these here all have to get fitted out still, but yeah, all of our nuts and bolts, that kind of stuff. Try to keep things organized is easier said than done sometimes. So, but this will all get fit into a 40-foot container, and yeah, we've done it this way. It makes it very easy for our New Zealand customers, and big thanks to Task Power. They're an amazing partner for New Zealand and Australia, and we're, you know, they've been really good to us over the years. So we're super, super happy to work with them, and they're always full of lots of ideas, which is great. Back here, we have a small lunchroom for the guys. Nothing fancy. Tim Hortons is right on the corner, so I mean, not a lot of them sit in the lunchroom, but and it's also way too small too for how many people we have. And then this is our milling machine. This is maybe a year old, and it's been a decent machine for us. We have some hydraulic vices in here, so we can just flip these switches back and forth. The air is turned off right now, so it's air over hydraulic, but it's a 50 taper machine, so it's good and heavy duty for us. And yeah, we machine all of our own parts, some of our valves, all our different parts of the machines all get done in house here. So we're happy to have a machine like this. It makes it easy to diversify and work on new products too. We can literally make something in our head and have it in our hand 2 days later. Same thing goes with this lathe here as well. We machine all of our own hydraulic components. So, you know, whether we're burnishing or running pistons, glands, all of our own cylinder parts are done here. Even our long stroke stuff is all done. So we could be running, you know, UHMW for our Fast Freddy hose winder line, or cast iron, or we could be running 4140 for different parts. We run all kinds of different stuff through here, and so this has been a decent machine for us. It's a DMG machine. I don't know. You get good days and bad days, I guess, but mechanically it's been a sound machine. Electronically, maybe not so much, but I can't complain. Can't complain too much. So, but off the lathe, you're going to see a lot of parts like this. That's, you know, this would come out of a piece of raw cast iron, and we machine it down for all the wear bands and stuff. So, all of our hydraulic components are made in house, and the nice thing is that we have control over all this stuff. If we need something, we can make it in a day or two. If we're tight on time, or, you know, if we want to make a change, it can just happen that fast. It can be very quick and easy. So, and then we have a loading dock. So when it comes to regular machines, it'll come through assembly. It'll get fitted out. We run it up. We have oil here. We'll put a load cell on it. We pressure test it, make sure it's all running good. And then from there, it goes on a 2x4 skid, and we'll ship it out to wherever it has to go. It could be to right in our backyard in Ontario, or it could go to BC, or, you know, Colorado, Texas, California, you name it, we're shipping machines. So on Fridays, you know, Friday mornings, we try to ship all of our stuff out so the shop's nice and clean. That way we can sweep all the floors and it's spick and span for Monday morning. Here you can see some racks. So we have some 3-point hitch machines, some more machines that are going to New Zealand, that kind of stuff. And yeah, different options too. And then here we have a bit of an assembly area down here for a wood chipper. So usually we do 5 at a time. We got one sitting here. That's probably going to get shipped in the future, in the next day or two. But we kind of have some New Zealand parts hanging. But yeah, everywhere in this, everyone has their own kind of station in the shop. And I mean, we have a little over 20 guys in here now, so it gets to be a pretty busy place. And we need a new shop badly, but property is a little bit of a head scratcher around these parts, which is pretty common. So we'll see what happens in the next year or two, but we're definitely going to be making a move. And yeah, that's pretty much what we do at Splitfire. So, you know, if you guys have questions about machines, give us a call. We're more than happy to take a phone call. And yeah, if you have any comments, leave them in the comment section below. Thank you very much.